Now, as you can see here, I got this piece of metal from a hardware store. I've already drilled one hole in the top here, and I'm planning on drilling more holes down here at the bottom for the counterweights. I'm taking this piece of wood here, which is 2 inches across. I'm going to drill a hole 1 inch in the middle here, and I'm going to attach it like this. I'll probably use a machine screw at this point, just so I can change the board later. Now what I'm doing here is I'm lining up this hole with the pencil line inside there and trying to get it as centered as possible. I'm going to take this nail, I'm going to push it into the wood a little bit. Now you see I have a mark there that I can go ahead and drill through and know that's where it's going to be. There. Now we have a nice hole that we can line up with our piece of metal here, just like that. There we go, you can see all the way through it. Good. Check. Alright, now we just got to get a screw and screw it on there. Alright then. Now I've got this bolted on, and as we can see, our balance point is right about there, and I don't want it there. I want the balance point to be a bit further back here. Now I know this piece of wood is too long, and we're going to be shortening that up, but for right now we'll call it the weight of the camera, even though that's nowhere near the weight of the camera. But we want our pivot point right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this metal and bend it down a little bit more. Alright. There we go. Something like that. I need to retighten that, obviously. Now had I thought of this ahead of time, would have made this piece a little bit longer, but I'm just using what I have in my garage. It would have been better with a second hole there, so it's not doing one of these numbers. But for the purpose of this video, this will do just fine. Alright, now let's take a look. Alright, we've moved our balance point a little bit further back, and looks like it's right about there now. Okay. Yes. Alright. And we'll probably end up changing that a little bit more, but for right now let's call it right there. So my next step is I'm going to take one of my punch tools and let's go with this one perhaps. Let's go with the bigger one. Alright, now basically, I'll come back here, find my balance point again. Just like that, that's not hard. Flip it over, and this is where I want to punch. And actually this comes in handy, I can move it over just like that. So, okay, put a little hole in it, grab my hammer, take the punch tool, there we go. That looks good. Now what I'm going to be using at the end of my handle is going to be a pinpoint. I know a lot of these cameras, they use a ball joint, and if you want to use a ball joint, go ahead and do that. I'm going to use a pinpoint because I think that will be more, keep it steadier as I'm going. So let's get that started. Now, one of the reasons I chose wood here instead of a piece of metal is this way I could swap this out if I wanted at any point, because the GoPro mount, I'm using one of the generic pieces that come with every GoPro. I'm going to be setting it probably somewhere right back here to offset the balance of the weights. But obviously, if this is going to be stuck on there, I'm not going to be able to get it off. So if I wanted to do this with another camera, I couldn't. So I most likely in the future, what I'll do is I'll get another piece of wood, and instead of getting the adhesive sticky part here, I'll put a camera shoe on there, and this way I can attach other cameras, other video cameras, photo cameras if I really wanted. But I think that works out wonderfully. It makes it universal and really cheap to make. You can buy these things for like next to $200 on eBay and stuff like that, but I don't really see the point. It's just a McDonald's toy for adults. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to cut the back off that, like I said, and add some weights. So let's move to that step. Alright, now you see here I've drilled another hole through it. One of the things I didn't show before was after you drill a hole through metal, you typically have this, I don't know, shrapnel hanging off here. What you can do is you can take a metal file and just go against it like that. You see, it's much smoother now. You can even take it all the way off. Right there, it just looked like it compacted it down. So we're gonna go ahead and file that. There we go. And look at that, it's much smoother. You can actually take your finger across it and not worry about that. So I went ahead and did that, and what I'm going to do now is take a machine screw, stick it through there, stick it through some washers maybe, or some other weight, whatever I find laying around, because like I said, I want to make this whole thing as cheap as I can, but effective. Alright, so, you know, I may even say, forget about the Maglite handle I was going with and just use this punch tool. It seems to be working quite nicely. Once I get the weights on here, it'll hold it steadier. So let me see if I can find some machine screws and some washers, and let's get some weight on here. This way it's not, you know, spinning everywhere like that. That just gets annoying, and that defeats the purpose, I think. So let's go ahead and move to that step. Alright, now I went ahead and I put the GoPro mount on here. Like I said before, it's just the standard GoPro mount, the extra ones that come with the back. So we'll leave that on there. I drilled a front hole here to counterbalance the front and back weights once I put the camera on the back here. Next thing we need to do is we need to stick these weights on here. I was able to find some machine screws. What I think I'm going to do for the front weight is actually a socket. I think that'll work out wonderfully. It's nice and heavy, and I think it'll get us what we want. Alright, so go ahead and put that through there. Put a washer on the end, and screw on the nut. There we go. Got a nice front weight there. Now for the back weight, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use another screw through the bottom there. And I got a stack of washers here. And not in the best of conditions, but they'll work. Alright, screw this on. I could probably use something a little better and more secure than that. That's pretty loose, but for these purposes it works. Alright, now we've set the balance from originally where I wanted the point up here to the middle point, the screw here. We're going to offset that by attaching the camera to the back. So let me put you guys on hold, and hopefully this will work out just fine. Alright, I've went ahead and I mounted the GoPro on the stand there. Let's go ahead and make our final test here. Just take our punch tool, stick it up in the balance point, and it looks like it's doing pretty good. Let's make sure it's nice and level. The level across there. Yeah, it looks like it's slightly off. Maybe turn this up here. Now it's off too far that way. Now at any point, there we go. At any point, you can mess around with the balance a little bit later, but as you can see, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And we can thank McDonald's for teaching me that when I was a kid. It looks like it might be a little heavy on the front, but again, I can always adjust that. So let's go ahead and give her a test run. We'll record us recording ourselves. It looks like we might need to make some minor adjustments, especially that weight in the front. It being off is causing it to wobble back and forth like this a little bit. So I'm just going to adjust that weight up there in the front. So it's got a piece of wood, a piece of metal I bent from a hardware store that I bought years ago. You got some washers, screws, some other weight on there, and a punch tool. I mean, it doesn't have to be a punch tool. We can let's see what else we can use around here. Use a nail. See if a nail works just fine. And would you look at that, it does. Surprise there? Not really. Saved myself $200. I think it'll do just fine once I get it balanced.